I guess I said bias some Southern Earth. Not at all. This vitamin C thing works like, I don't know, a miracle for me. And frankly, nothing else compares. So we've got out here an Arab product. We've got out here a white product. Unknown, but just looking around, it appears as if though it's a proudly South African, but can't really tell you who's the manufacturer. Fruit of Wokali. I think it's Arab too. Okay, cool beans and bananas. This is also Arab. It's hyaluronic acid, and ain't nobody compared to this babe. So much so that my mama goes through like a tub in a month. Like, wastage much? Kiflanka stop wasting. Pea-sized amount. Pea-sized amount. Pea-sized. But that's the thing. My mom's skin drinks it up like juice. With a burp afterwards. So what I was saying, however, despite that wastage, this here is an Arab man that has given us a wonderful hyaluronic acid. This hyaluronic acid of which has got botanical trehalose in it and niacinamide. And you gotta love the fragrance. I don't care to be perfume free. Okay, yeah, and it's like causing me to pop. It's causing all of this. Like, I'm popping because it is like, yeah, what? Let's pink up my cheeks a little bit so that you can see how much I'm popping. Yeah, hyaluronic acid enabled me to make my popping glow, my little blush look even more blushy. But like I said, the ocean did that, right? Because it had to travel all the way from some Arab country to South Africa, so the ocean must be the reason why it's working on black skin. You did that. Anyway, whatever. And then let's give you the banger that I have just started using, and I'm like, you know what? Don't nobody move. Don't nobody shift to the side. Like, don't go up, down, left, right. Don't even spin on the spot. Just shove a statue. For this, like, pro retinol boost, best retinol product I have used ever. I kept on changing them because, you know, I sometimes go to the store and I can't find another one. I can't find the one that I used last week because they're changing it up, because I believe this one is there to stay. It's from Israel. That's what's good. Yeah, it's got peptides in it. It's got retinol. It's also got it's basically got peptides, vitamin A, which is retinol, and what you call this thing, a niacinamide too. It's an excellent product, a nighttime issue. It's a tiny little 15 milliliter bottle. I don't know why it's 15 milliliters instead of 30. I was deceived over there, but it doesn't matter because the price was worth it. Nearly 50 rand. It's a product by Emilia Active, and these days I'm feeling pro-Israel very much because of what under heaven it is that I don't know. What did you do to us exactly, Hamas? So I'm supporting Israeli products. Not that I chose this because it was Israeli. I chose it because of the ingredients list and later came to discover that it's Israeli. It's Israeli. So if this is Israeli, and we are all apparently different, we are so different that really and truly we got to separate one another. Not apply proper over here. We need the ocean to go and water down our product so it can apply better on black skin. Otherwise, you go have a problem. So really and truly, I feel as if though this one had to go inside the Mediterranean Sea. It had to go inside the Mediterranean Sea in order for it to be applicable on my black skin. Otherwise, it was going to make me just suffer a lot of what? I was going to break out into water if it did not yet first get washed by the Mediterranean Sea. Nah, true story, what I'm telling you that. Ayo, for real. The Mediterranean salty content in the sea over there is the only reason why this works on black skin. Otherwise, it would burn me and will also give me warts on my face, see? And it will also not plump up my face and give me peptide complex. I'm promising you right now. It has to happen that way. I could go on. I don't presently have any products right now that are black only. I do believe, I'm not sure, that's the thing I was gonna pick out. I have a hair product that I do believe is a black product, a black owned product. I'm not sure, however, but there was a time when I was using a Portia M toner on my face. Yeah, mango lemon nachi. Remember that advert? Anyway, whatever. I was using a mango Portia M toner, and I did like it at the time, but I wanted to minimize how many products I was using on my face. It had glycolic acid on it, and I stopped using it because I've been changing my routine up a whole bunch. That was a black product. So apparently, allegedly, on the day when I was busy using Portia M products, I was safe. Yeah, why? Because I'm black, yo. I'm black. So, I mean, I gotta go for Portia stuff. La Della Molifing. This here is a grandpa. It's a headache tablet. My mother has a colleague that recently passed away. A white man, a Buraman. And at his funeral, they literally handed out grandpa boxes. Because the man, he passed away from some form of cancer. And he was always in a lot of pain. And nothing worked for him like grandpa. Nothing worked for him like grandpa. So in memory of that man, they handed out boxes of grandpa to guests at the funeral. It's like, whoa, guys, this is a dispensary. What are you doing? This is drug trafficking. Somebody call the popo. But like, you know, all due respect to the dead, like, may you rest in peace, bro. But like, let's call the popo, because this here is drug trafficking. They were out here handing out boxes of grandpa at the funeral of this man because he survived despite all of the hard knock medications the doctors likely prescribed him. Grandpa, he always he always ended up defaulting back to grandpa. And I remember after that, my mom and I having a conversation about how it is that this thing hingakara, are you getting bored, white people, because I'm breaking out into black song? Relax. Take a breather, because that's why you be out here getting left behind. Your irritation with black culture, like, cease and desist. Like, stop. Pull out your hairs if you must. Gouge out that eye and cut off that silly little hand. Because at this point, you're going to enter like hell with all of your body parts intact. If you do not cut off all that stuff, that you might enter heaven maimed. Grandpa, my mom and I were talking about how this thing is ngakara. It's ngakara. Like efantuka ngakara. Because it doesn't just cure headaches. If you take a grandpa, it'll do away with your muscle spasms. It'll do away with your period pains. I take grandpa on my period. I'm currently on my period right now, and this is what I'm swallowing in order to enable me through my period pain crisis. Grandpa works on period pains. You could have like a throbbing, like, you know what else grandpa works on? Yeah, I actually discovered the power of grandpa when I was back in the day still employed. Where it is that I'm on Crancat Wangboga, you hear my voice and you want to come in, but you just want to disturb my peace. That's once again. Anyway, whatever. My back in the day when I was still employed, I used to get my hair did at this like one Congolese lady in Yeovil, and she was really good at what she did. But unatisa, her hair was like there was a lot of tension on my head. You know, like more braids and whatnot. They were very tight. My head was always very tight every time I would come back from that lady, and it was low-key kind of unbearable tight for the first 3 days. And 3 days is like a very long amount of time. Thank God I have learned. Hey. Thank God I have learned that you don't gotta tisa hair type thing in order to make it grow. So now I'd never ever allow anybody to do that to me. However, how I used to survive that was that one day I took a grandpa because I was just in so much pain because of that, right? The tightness of my head. I went to the garage, the nearby garage, the first garage that I passed when I was coming back home from that salon, and I took a grandpa right in my car because my head was just pounding. I felt like this thing had given me a headache, and by the time I got home, it's like there was nothing going on. It's like it numbed my whole face. I don't know, but like it eradicated that. Oh, come on, grandcat, you're even hiding my light over there. It numbed my it's like it numbed ubusobam. And whatever it is that are the pain receptors on my head, pain receptors all over my body, they were quietened. They were quietened by this thing. And upon discovering the power of grandpa, I then started taking grandpa every time after doing my hair, right? For 3 days, for the first 3 days, I would be taking maybe like 3 grandpas a day. And then after that, it would calm down and then I would stop taking it. That's when I discovered the power of grandpa. This stuff, like literally you could stub your toe against a table corner. And if you have just taken grandpa for an unrelated issue, you will not even feel the pain as badly of that toe stub. That's what grandpa does. So I can see how a cancer patient that's got a lot of pain in their body would then lean on grandpa. There are people who have speculations about the fact that it's addictive, blah, 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 all those things. But irrespective of it, that man was a white man, a white boer man that worked with my mom, a colleague of my mother, and he swore by grandpa the same way that we swear by it. And my mother and I were even having a conversation along the lines of, hey, where's the grandpa? My mother has a problem with back pain and all different kinds of just adult pain, like grown-up pain, like older person pain. And she says that this thing, you take one, Jafela, and if you took it for a headache, it'll deal with your toe pain, it'll deal with your headache, it'll deal with your nose pain, it'll deal with your shoulder pain, it'll deal with everything. It's just like an all-purpose thing. So I use it for my period when it is that I've got period pains. And that conversation, my mom and I were having it, just basically laughing at the fact that at one white Bura man's funeral, they handed this out because it helped him along in his cancer struggle, in his cancer journey. A white man and a black family out here, agreeing on the same thing. So I mean, this thing goes inside the body, doesn't it? Yeah, you swallow it. That's what's good. Gluk like petrol. Except not quite. I'm out here thinking about South African ants, have mercy on me. Yeah, you swallow this thing, glug. Yeah. Okay, and then it just goes to work inside umzimba that when students at medical school study the cadaver, they strangely don't discriminate between was it Mariki on the cold bed or was it Karabo. Bodies donated to science, I promise you, are a rainbow nation. They're black. They're white, they're Indian, they're pink, they're purple, they're disabled, they are able-bodied. Bodies donated to med schools in order to be, I guess, studied to figure out how in the world to heal a person when they've got ABC, when a person has got a coronary episode, how to do a heart transplant. They learn all that using corpses of different races, don't they? What under heaven caused the medical industry to discover that corpses of different races can be used indiscriminately really at universities to teach children that are studying there, students that are studying there, the human anatomy? What made people discover that they can use any race of cadaver? It was because human beings started cutting up bodies and discovered that we've literally got the exact same makeup on the inside. The same heart transplant will work on a white man and a white woman and a black woman all at the same time. When we donate organs, look at me having the liver of some Hispanic chick. Wow, girl, thank you. In your death, you done did me right. I've got a Spanish liver. Turns out it don't matter. Hey, I'm out here chilling out like with a Mexican heart. Look at me walking around with an Italian pancreas. Can you even donate a pancreas? Yeah, you get my point. Look at me getting an organ donation as a black girl from a white lady. And look at me as a black girl. Should I donate my body to science? Should I decide that if I die, which I was going to do at some point in my life, but then, I don't know, people ripped the carpet from underneath me? Should I make a decision to give any of my organs away? They're likely going to be given to some white children. They're likely going to be given to some black mothers. They're likely going to... You get my point. Organ donation works the same. So much so, are we made the same that black people and white people agree that grandpa is ngakara, even though some white folk might not like even the word ngakara itself. Like, what is going on with you? Like, racist white people, you're deadbeat. You know why? Because for a very long amount of time, you've been in denial and trying to, what's the word that I'm looking for right now? Basically, not give credit where it is due. For a minute, you've been prepared to listen to very artistic black people sing and dance and do what they want to do, even during eras where they were not allowed to be among you. But insofar as they were extremely gifted, you were prepared to let them come through in your spaces. You know, Dorothy Dandridge. You were prepared to let them come into your spaces, but then they couldn't use your swimming pools, even though they could sing. So you agreed that their music was Bob-worthy. You agreed that their music was worth a while to dance up and down. And yet people that can cause you to sway left to right and enjoy music, you can't respect them? What's going on there? You can't respect them? I mean, look at how many white kids are besotted beside themselves in love with rap music. And yet some of them, despite loving rap music, manage to be racist. Like, I literally don't get that. Like, how can you be so full of discrimination against somebody whose skill or whose quality or whose talent you like? Yeah, and that's just the issue with me being now a black disciple. Being as colorful as I am with all of this analogy, this metaphor, this colorful kaleidoscopic way of giving the gospel, you want to like it, just like dancing to Dorothy Dandridge's music, but not letting her swim in your swimming pools. You bopping and you swing left to right, and even though you you feel as if your hand has got some kind of an involuntary muscle spasm. It's got Tourette syndrome. It's speaking on its own. Yeah. In actually liking what I'm doing. Your body is twitching in like your face when you are nodding at what I'm saying. You're like, stop it. You know what that is? It's the fact that internally we're made of the same stuff. It's the fact that as human beings we are all born dead in trespasses and sins, and in sins that our parents conceive us. However, we have got a conscience and the invisible qualities of God that make it such that we can respond to the gospel upon realizing that we are trash from birth. Yeah, it's written in God's word that his law is written on our hearts. And so therefore conviction, when it comes in your direction, can come from a black minister. Yeah, because she said something that nobody else has quite managed to reach your particular, that thing that you've been trying to toggle and deal with. Yeah, it came from a black mouth. And so your body is going to betray you by causing you to be in agreement and then be like, stop it. Why? Because I'm black. Yeah. your body's gonna betray you. Just in the same way that white people's bodies betrayed them in the days of systematic oppression, where it is that they were happy to dance to black music but not want to be in the company of black folk. You like what they gotta say, but no, you don't get to sit next to me because apparently we're different. Your body's betraying you because you're bopping to my music. Your body is agreeing that something about me is worth a while to embrace, just as your bodies are made spiritually by the Lord to, at some point, if he has called you home, that you might, I don't know, repent and stop being such a no-brainer, that you will actually respond to the gospel. And sometimes the gospel will not come through Ray Comfort. It won't come through Joe Kirby. It won't come through Paul Washer or Stephen Lawson. It will not come through even Charles Spurgeon, the Prince of Preachers, a dead preacher, or Jonathan Edwards. It'll come through some chick from some little funny corner of South Africa by the name of Karabo that you just, oh man, like you're out here twitching, like, you're about to break out into hives, like, stop, yo, do you need an ointment for that? I've got quite a few. Like, let's deal with your hives, Brother May. Let's deal with your hives. Let's help you get cured from your racism. Because sometimes the Lord is going to get a message into your head that is going to resonate with you in ways that you don't understand, coming from a face you don't quite respect. Coming from a woman you don't like. Why? Only because she's black. Why didn't she have to be white? My goodness. Imagine if she was white. She'd probably reach more people. That's just the reason why you is out here going to be getting laughed at from heaven by me. Even howling. Because you stayed behind due to your racial bias, your prejudice that you were not able to put aside despite calling yourself a Christian. I'm sorry, it's a sin. And if it's a sin, if you don't try to beat it down, if you don't subdue it under the Holy Spirit, if you don't put to death the deeds of the body, honey, you are not going to heaven. If you don't work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, you're not entering the kingdom of heaven. If this grandpa can cure your headache and your toothache just as it cures mine, and you still think we're different, what is going on? If as a black girl you won't let me help you deal with your alopecia, white chick, if you won't let me help you eat right, that you might be able to grow your hair back, if you won't let me basically award you product that's going to grow your hair back, because I've managed to concoct for myself a little shine and it works, something that's making my skin glow and pop, goodness guys. White ladies, come on, let's have a conversation for like, a little bit of a minute here. Let's have a discussion. Y'all have white skin. You don't have as much melanin as us and Asian people. And so for those reasons, you age a lot faster. You do well when a black girl has conquered basically the passage of time and has reversed aging on her hands and on her face to take her advice. Why? Because I conquered that which afflicts you even more wholeheartedly than me. I got the benefit of melanin on my side, but time stops for nobody. So even I had to embark on anti-aging endeavors, and so if at all, I have prospered to find some pioneering routine that is going to track back the hands of time and give me good skin on a budget, and you're a white girl on a budget, honey, you can't go to no dermatologist, you can't afford no tretinoin, you cannot afford to see a dermatologist that's going to put you on some hard knock, expensive retinol product that you are going to have to buy for $700 every single month while being a student, while being a mother of 5. Like, you can't afford to be buying such expensive products, and I'm that El Cheapo chick that has managed to bring back the hands of time by bringing all of this glory on my face restored to me. I've got these face techniques and massages that I do, and I've got products for days that I have basically tried and tested, and they're working absolutely wonderfully for me. I bet you're wondering, where in the world did I get a peptide complex mixed with vitamin A alongside niacinamide and vitamin C in one little product? Where did I get this? White girls, you probably want to know. And upon finding out, you're going to hide and pretend that a black girl did not just give you that recommendation. You're going to pretend it. I mean, you can try and find this online. You might find it. It's called Emilia Active. It works like a charm. Try and find it and see if you can't buy it. But it's an Israeli product made by an Israeli, I imagine it's a woman. So white girls, it's probably going to work out for you. But then if you're going to go and buy this product because you found out about it from a black girl on the internet, why under heaven are you not then running with the gospel given you by a black girl from the internet? It's because you're vain. It's because you're shallow. You're prepared to take my advice insofar as I'm telling you about skincare and pretend that you didn't get the advice from me, but not from Jesus. Christ is not mocked. You can mock the internet and buy a product. You can mock the internet and buy a product recommended by a black girl and never ever confess that that happened. Like my former boss was like you white chicks, a lot of y'all that are racist. She could never ever give credit where it's due. But then she needed me. Whenever she needed me, whenever she needed something, it was always me. I was always her top pick. Because at the end of the day, when you gotta work, you gotta work, you gotta work. When you gotta produce, you gotta produce, you gotta produce. When you gotta deliver, you gotta deliver, you gotta deliver. And when somebody is reliable, when somebody is trustworthy, Even if you are passing them shade, giving them grief, and basically doing them dirty by giving them bad appraisal scores, when the things hit the fan all over the show, you're gonna go for the one that you actually really truly rely on. So she always used to lean on me. When you're not strong, I will be your lackey. I will be your fall back on. I will be the invisible hand that is helping you along, and I will help you carry on, boss. Even though you give me a bad appraisal score, but you can lean on me. That's the bad white girl phenomenon right there. The bad racist white girl phenomenon when she's dealing with a really good black girl. Yeah, She will act like she's not there, however lean on her, but never ever give her kudos. And that's exactly what's going on there. But God. Amen. Hallelujah. Jesus on high, he's not mocked. So you're not going to get to enter the kingdom of heaven with your soul having been reached and whatever by a black girl, with you not being prepared even in the slightest to basically give her, like I said, credit where it is that is due. God is not mocked. So you can get away with buying this product for yourselves cheaply. It was 50 rands. It was 50 bucks to basically transform your cracking up skin or whatever. Yeah. Go and transform your skin and mock your girls into thinking that you're that great, excellent, like, bargain hunter, able to find the best product on the market without breaking bank. Go on right ahead and give counsel to your white, like, collage, your caucus of white friends that are going to be like, oh girl, I'm there next like a bear. Please buy me 5 bottles next time. I'm sure. Thank you, Cassandra. Yeah, you can totally like fool or deceive your friend Emily. But you cannot deceive God. In continuing to proliferate my work, for instance, share my nuggets of wisdom in your space with white folk, and then act as if though a black girl did not give you that humbling message. Pretend that did not come from the mouth of a black person, because like literally far be it from you to ever give credit where a black girl is at. Whoa, do that anywhere else, but in the kingdom of heaven, I'm sorry, it ain't gonna fly. It kind of disqualifies you. You have not bridled your flesh. You have not put it to submission. You have not subdued yourself to the power of God. You have not allowed him to cleanse you, to wash you, to help you conquer that rubbish inside your body, that little worm, that little pathogen, whatever it is that is crawling inside you, like a tapeworm that's eating away at all of your glory in Christ. You have not extracted it out of your body. You haven't done that, girl. And so for those reasons, seeing as the Lord is going to find you wanting, you're going to be among the 5 foolish virgins that stick around after the rapture has happened. White girl, you cannot pretend to not be racist. If you still have that going on inside you, you got to take it to the only person who can help you conquer a stupid thing. That is Jesus. That is Christ. Yo, you know what, like white folk, like I get it. Like racism, you know what it's like? It's like a bad habit. It's like a really bad habit that you just got to quit, and it's rough to do it. It's like smoking. At some point, if you really work hard on it, you will conquer. It's like smoking. And also, it's like holding to a foolish ideology. I'll give you an example with me. Look, I understand where you're coming from. I do. Every so often you develop biases because people treat you like trash. Like, I personally can't stand black people, but not like the way that you can't stand black people. I can't stand them because they've like betrayed the living daylights out of me and made me live like a vagrant in society with nobody to lean back on. I can't go back to my own people because they're spitting on me. They keep on slapping me with sorcery. They keep on ransacking each other. They have no sense of camaraderie. They're just like literally, they feel entitled to global respect without in and of themselves having each other's back. So I'm just like, you know what, whatever, do you? But you see, they brought me to that place. So whatever it is that made you get to a point of racism, you gotta, just like Karabo, at some point realize that not all blacks are crazy. And so allow yourself to be immersed among whichever ones are not out here actively just spitting on her with hydrochloric acid saliva called witchcraft. Not all blacks are witches. However, I've been endured through a whole bunch of tyranny by black witches, and so now I've got this like skewed view of looking at things. I'm not so naive as to imagine that the Lord is content with me thinking that black people all just bite. That's not okay. Yeah, so like a bad habit, you gotta learn how to put down a cigarette. It's that basic. You gotta learn how to put down a bad ideology. And I will give you an example with myself. I used to be a feminist. That's what's good. Out you thinking, who run the world? Who run the world? And if somebody did not answer girls like Beyonce, then insisted on girls answering, I think I would slap them in my mind, given that I was not into, you know, karaping girls, that was not my thing. Yeah, that's what's good. But I thoroughly wanted to believe that who run the world girls, to a point of being low-key, what's the word that I'm looking for? Emasculate to men. Yeah, I was always just so strong and like, yo, I got these, and I didn't even realize that some guys felt a little some kind of way about it because they could not help me along with anything that I could not help myself along with. Until one day I was having a conversation with a colleague, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to get married. I can't wait for one day for somebody to be like, will you marry me? And this colleague was like, are you ready to submit? I was like, huh? like an annoying door on a windy day that nobody is catering to, closing it fast enough. Submit. What? Like what? I've had boyfriends. Submit. Don't come at me with none of that nonsense. But then she started to explain to me how it is that is the biblical expectation from women. And since I was raised in a Christian country, expected to be Christian or Catholic, I was like, I can't just reject God. I can't just say no to God. I can't just say no. God said that? That was me. And so because I wanted to get married, I found out that I was apparently supposed to learn submission because ain't no dude gonna take whatever I was doing in their stride. And so I started to investigate the things of God. I mean, a lot of things led me to Christ. And one of them was that. A lot of things ultimately led me to Christ. I realized that I needed to get stuff uprooted out of me. My whole androgynous mindset, my whole I can take care of myself, pump head mindset. Yeah, no, that had to be changed. So once I came to Christ, I actively went out of my way to chisel away, file away at that random rabioche to a point of taking every ounce of counsel in a wonderful book that I read once upon a time called Fascinating Womanhood. Teaches you how to be submissive to a man while also being godly and all that jazz. And I went to work to employ all of these practices. But then black men decided to go and lambaste the living daylights out of me by brutalizing the living daylights out of me, by trashing and crashing me and burning me like as through like that a whole bazooka. Yeah, black men did that. And so what it is that was my historical feministic bone, it's almost like it was a dormant beast that was lying there. It sort of kind of peeped out again. It peeped out because of attrition. It peeped out because of basically just this murder-suicide intention by black men with their gender-based violence rubbish. It peeped out because I got abused. But before I got abused by a whole bunch of black men, I was successfully conquering. I could have been maybe like 80%, you know that progress bar? 80% completely cured. By the time I lost everything, I was already submissive to every man in my ecosystem. Not only my pastors or my elders, but men in the office. I went out of my way to try and respect them. I went out of my way to listen to every last word they said, that they might feel bigger than me, that they might feel mighty, that I might indeed submit. If I could submit to every guy in my ecosystem, I imagine it would then come very easily to submit to one that I'm very much in love with. Yeah. And then they lambasted me. So, I mean, the fact that I have kind of regressed and low-key have a feministic edge in me is only because I've been so badly abused. But that's just the thing about, what do you call this? Like Jesus, I'm over there, I'm editing, that's what's going on. That's the thing about Christ, he knows how to heal. You know how with Joseph, he got all broken by his family, and then the Lord gave him Manasseh. The Lord gave him a wife, and then they had a child, the two of them. And then he said, I will name this baby Manasseh, for the Lord has basically healed me from the pain of my father's household. So I trust in the Manasseh miracle to happen in my life. But I was literally embarking on a journey. I was unroot it. Do you understand? I had embarked on a journey to conquer the propensity or the tendency towards being towards being like this feministic thing that just does not make sense at all. Yeah, I worked hard on it, and even though men did regress it back, I do believe the Lord will restore it if at all he intends to. Look, we're going home. I saw that we're going home. I saw the rapture is happening. Like, I'm not getting married. Yeah, whatever. So I'm not even looking forward to that, because society is falling apart. When women even want to submit, when they teach themselves to submit, when they conquer feminism and all that jazz, men still put them in the same batch as all these feministic randos. And so for those reasons, men are just super abusive. No, men, like, proper. There is no excuse to abuse women. Let's just put that out there, even if they're feministic. But for me, it was like the fact that I worked so hard to submit to them, and they still treated me like this. Agusa na planet to live on. It's that basic. Ain't nothing left. Ain't nothing left. Yeah. I conquered. That's what I'm getting at. My feministic bone. So it was like putting down a pack of cigarettes, even though I used to smoke 20 a day. It was like putting down the cocaine, even though I have messed with my mucous membranes from snuffing that random stuff and messed with some of my even cognitive capacity. I put down the drug. That was bad for me because Jesus said it was bad. Just because Christ said it was bad, I promise you, I felt like it was not broken, so why try to fix it? And the only thing that made me feel as if though I need to conquer feminism was finding out that apparently Christ is not okay with it. And so for those reasons, I worked on it. And by the time before I lost everything, I was, like I said, progress bar vibes. Sanctification had it such that I was 80% in. All that was left was 20%, and I imagined that a man sweeping me off my feet and loving me into the future would have likely just conquered the rest of the remaining 20%. I was going to, over time, just become a nice little trad wife. I was happy to be that. A nice little traditional wife, but unfortunately for the cranberry, Unfortunately for the lady in question over here, I was dealt a bad blow. So racism is like an ideology held onto, a hatred that has been held onto by somebody based on societal influence. Just as feminism was, I told you guys about Who Run the World, girls. Yeah, Beyonce done taught me that. Chimamanda Adichie, Adichie, let's just end it there. Chimamanda. Yeah, she done taught me that. Like, feminism was taught to me by women in the world that were very androgynous, that basically just missed the mark, they missed the point. And when I found out that it was wrong, I then embarked on a journey to get over it. I embarked on a journey to get over what society was teaching me is how I ought to be as a woman, instead of how I ought to be as a woman by Jesus. Christ was not the one who taught me, it was society. And when then I gave my life to Jesus, I was like, I guess I gotta change how society has taught me, isn't it? So white folk, you're not born racist. That's why your children in malls are able sometimes to smile at black girls and boys walking around all over the show. They're able to laugh and smile with black kids and say with black adults, while you obviously have some kind of beef with the fact that your child is laughing with a black boy. When I was a kid, y'all know I got stories for days, right? When I was a kid, perhaps like maybe 11 years old, I was in primary school. However, my mom had paid for me to after school, because I used to always lose my house keys, because we used to live next door to this one creche, right? My home when I was growing up was next door a creche, and my mother did not want me having the house keys because I always used to lose them. And so she found out that there was an aftercare program at that creche for primary school kids, and so I was basically booked into that whole aftercare, if you want to call it. I was enrolled into that aftercare. And then my mother was when my older sister came back home from school, my older sister was only 2 years older than me, but she was 3 grades higher than me, because she was like all that advanced and what have you. Yeah, when my older sister would come back home from school, she would then be the one to fetch me from the aftercare, and then I would go home, which was just next door. I wasn't allowed to carry a key. That's what I'm getting at. And at this aftercare, there were other primary school kids from, I used to go to Winchester Ridge Primary School. They were from Robert Shem Primary. 2 of them were from Robert Shem, and the other one was from, I forgot that primary school, some primary school in the southern suburbs of Johannesburg. And there were 4 white kids, 3 girls and 1 boy. 2 of them were brother-sister pair, and then one of them was a girl that came by herself, and then the other one was another girl that was there by herself. I remember all their names. Okay, still to this day. And when I started out at this aftercare, we all became fast friends. It wasn't just me. It was the black kids. There were me and my other friend. So I had a friend that lived. She also had the same issue. She had an older sister, and that was the only one that was allowed to have the house key, and she had to basically stay at aftercare until the sister came home. So we got picked up by our older sisters, both of us, me and this friend of mine. We were in the same grade. Yeah, so it was 2 black girls and 3 white girls and 1 white boy in this aftercare, and we all were more or less the same age, same grade type establishment thing, and we all became fast friends. We played with each other so easily. It was so easy for us to basically create this camaraderie. We enjoyed life together. And then one day we had a fight over something stupid. We had a fight over some Dumbo thing. I don't know what. Was it a toy? Come on, work with me now. Was it a toy, or was it where to play, a tunnel that we did not want to play in because it was full of water? I don't know. One day some argument broke out among us as kids, and these white kids, all of them, it was me and my friend that were the only 2 black people there, and then everybody else was white. Because of this war that basically ensued between us fighting here at aftercare, these white kids, all of them, decided to start hurling. The first person to raise it was the boy who was part of the brother-sister pair. They started hurling these racist expletives. The K word. In South Africa, you would know what that is. K word, that means our hair. Okay, that's what's good. Yeah, he called me and my friend the K word. Now the K word is something that it's basically like the N word in America. Okay, yeah, type thing. The K word is a derogatory term used in the apartheid system to describe black folk and our hair. Yeah, right? Yeah, that's what's good. And by then, apartheid had been abolished. It was a new South Africa, blah, blah, blah. But these kids obviously had racist parents. Why? Because the boy, all of a sudden, when then we were fighting, decided to call my friend a K. Decided to call the other black girl there. And then this black girl was like, what did you call me? What did you call me? And then I also was like, what did you call her? What did you call her? Why did I say that? Because in the black community, we had also been taught that white folk, when they're being very derogatory towards us, call us the K word. And it's just unacceptable. So we imagined that it was entirely unacceptable for us to be called that. And so the two of us, my friend and I, then were like, how dare you call us that? How dare you call us that? How dare you call us that? And the fight just brewed and became worse and worse. And because it was becoming worse and worse, and now it was a racial fight. Now it became a racial issue. All of a sudden, all the white girls banded with, and they were now calling us the K word, talking about how black people ain't jack, how it is that we all were not supposed to come to the suburbs, how it is that we intruded them in their schools. We're not supposed to be basically attending schools where it is that we were attending schools. Now that the school that we attended was like a mixed school now with white kids, all different kinds of races, were coming at us, telling us how it is that we have no business being there, even in the aftercare, because only white babies and white little girls and boys are supposed to be at that aftercare. Only white babies are supposed to be at that creche. Hey guys, we were of course fighting back on some you racist whatnot blah blah. How can you say that? And that whole fight, I believe, was broken up by a teacher in the aftercare. The next day, we went back to being friends as normal. Like the rest of the year just progressed. Like that whole fight never happened. But the fact that that white boy broke out into those hives because of some altercation or differences that we had on the school playground, the fact that he broke out into them means that somebody done taught him that. Somebody, where it is that he stayed, was always just raising this as an issue. And the kids were still so young that they had yet to start to segregate with each other. From each other. The kids were just playing. And parents could not control who the kids play with. The parents could not control what the kids mess with in their ecosystem where they're at. When they go to school, your dad cannot control you from making a best friend out of a black boy. He can't, because kids will do what kids want to do, even though adults can be very, very severely influential to children, sometimes at the peril of those kids, unfortunately. But that whole thing was trained. My friends, primary school age, 11-ish of age, they were taught that rubbish from home. And they had heard their parents speak multiple times about us, saying things like we should not be, that we have no business going to their schools, we have no business living in their neighborhoods, we have no business, etc., etc., etc. That whole incident is exactly what it is that I'm trying to explain to you guys, to highlight that racism is an inheritance that is given to children when they are older in life. It's like finding out that you've got a rich dead grandfather, having lived poor all your life, and now all of a sudden you've inherited all this wealth because you're the last remaining heir, and they had to find you in the system even though you've broken up from the original family. Racism is like an inheritance in late stage in life. It gets adopted. Do you understand what I'm saying? It gets adopted even though it wasn't already there, but then once people have it, it's like they feel rich in it, like inheriting a whole bunch of wealth. Once people adopt it, they feel wealthy in it, they feel rich, like inheriting rich grandfather's inheritance, a grandfather of which you didn't even know you had, because he was estranged from your mom, of which they wanted nothing to do with your grandfather. And so therefore you never knew your grandfather, but then when your grandfather passes away, with your mother also being late, you then get located by some estate manager telling you that you're a millionaire now. Once they embrace it, they run with it because they feel wealthy in it. They feel indeed like they're the supreme race. They feel like nothing else is supposed to exist. So something they never used to have, they now run with it all the way to old age, and it makes them pompous. It makes them arrogant. And so since it is inherited, it means that it can the inheritance can also be squandered. The inheritance can also be lost. The inheritance can also be rejected. Whatever it is that is going to convert you into a pompous, arrogant fool, you can leave it at the door, because there was a time when you were not that wealthy before. And so the wealth of white supremacy, essentially the self-deceit and the self-illusion that you are bigger and better than other people, that can be retracted, it can be redacted, it can be you can rescale the whole ecosystem so as to extract it from the reality facing us. That over there is the incredible reality. And so granted that is the incredible reality, people then ought to do everything in their power to disinherit themselves from their parents' racism, because you don't gotta run with that. Because if at all you don't want to do that, sister girl, at this point it's not about trying to be diversified and trying to get along on the earth, because really, why can't we all just get along? It's literally a matter of eternal life and not. It's a matter of heaven and hell. It's a matter of eternal condemnation versus salvation. Like, you literally burn for such discriminations as those. So it's worth a while to disinherit yourself from that which you feel is your inheritance, your wealth, your opulence in being the chosen race. There's no such nonsense. I'm just saying, like, did your grandfather's wealthy inheritance for your soul. The Bible says, if anything causes you to sin, cut it off. If your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. For it is better to enter heaven maimed than to go to hell with all of your body parts intact. Cut off that racism that makes you think you're better than everybody. Otherwise, you won't enter the kingdom of heaven. It is also written in God's word that it is easier for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Since white supremacy is like a rich man, it is very rough for you to enter the kingdom of heaven, but it is later written in that same passage of God's word that what is impossible with man is possible with God. So the Lord can cure you from your Nazi, white supremacist, very extremist, Ku Klux Klan-y, apartheid regime, like ter Blanchi, like Boere mag as the main mag. Yeah, you must understand that whole very strong hatred and extremely wicked sentiment. Another people group is gonna condemn you, and God can, however, conquer it. But you gotta gouge out your eye and you gotta cut off your hand, meaning that if at all you are busy hanging around racist folk as a man that's trying to break off from that whole thing, you gotta be prepared to say goodbye, friends, and be ostracized, be bullied by people that don't want to break off from their wealth, their inheritance, that thing that's making it impossible for them to enter the kingdom of heaven, in a way that's making it easier for a camel rather to enter into the kingdom of heaven rather than them, the way that they're so rich with knowledge. Those white kids were obviously led by something nefarious. I had an opposite neighbor where it is that we stayed in Winchester Hills. It was a white family, and the little girl was, I guess, a white girl. Yeah, that's what's good. It was my house. Next door was my friend that I was in school with, the black girl, and then in front was this white family. And this white girl was always peeping over the wall, watching us play, almost like she wanted to join us, but something was staying her hand. It was keeping her. She just did not want to come and be with us. However, one day she did play with us. She was happy, went back home. A couple of weeks down the line, she comes back and plays with us again. We again break out into a fight, a brawl. And in that fight, that same girl called us the K word. She called us the K word. So she was apprehensive to play with black girls because her parents were telling her, no, you are not going to be friends with black people. And so for those reasons, she coveted playtime, was given permission to play with us one time. And then the second time when she played with us, she went on right ahead and blurted the K word to us, and she never came back again after that. She was unlike the kids in aftercare because of the fact that her parents were in close proximity. Her parents were right there. The kids in aftercare, the parents lived everywhere else around, and they picked them up later on at 5, 6, 7 p.m. So let's not say 7, like 6 p.m. in the afternoon. Whereas this chick, her parents were monitoring her activity, living right next door and opposite us, and they forbid her from playing with us. They literally forbid her. So, like, racism is inherited from bad parents and sometimes bad friends. One of the girls that was part of the aftercare, we all grew up and went to high school. She went to Glen Vista High School. I went to Sir John Adamson. Everybody else went everywhere else. I was the only one that went to Sir John in that whole conglomerate of kids. Alright? This chick went to Glen Vista High, and one day, however, I remember seeing her in that red school uniform of theirs. She went past our school with a friend of hers. And I recognized her from primary school. I recognized her from aftercare. We were friends, all of us. And I called her. Her name was Kim. I was like, Kim. I didn't even call her. I saw her coming this way. And as she was coming this way, I was like, hi, Kim. She literally walked right by me. And I saw her. I was like, hi, Kim. And she just walked right by me to a point where I developed a cognitive dissonance where I was like, maybe that's not Kim. After all, it's been a couple of years. Maybe it just looks like Kim. It just looks like Kim. And even then you're rude. Just say, I'm not Kim. Wrong person. Or something. Instead, she walks right by me. But something is like, no, man, that is Kim. That is Kim. I recognized her. And I was like, Kim. Hi, Kim. And then she turned back around. Because it was Kim. She then turned back around. Kim goes to Glen Vista High School. Glen Vista, just like Sir John Adamson, is a diverse school. So does Kim do that to kids in the school? What does the teacher say? Likely, it was likely a shielded little alliance of racism, where it is that even though you're in the same class with black girls and black boys, you just don't talk to them. You don't get yourself involved in any of that. You're secluded. You're a segregationist. Anyway, Kim turns around and says to me, I don't talk to black people, and then continues to walk. My heart was so broken. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, that was the last I ever saw or heard from Kim. So Kim started out being prepared to play with me, but thanks to the parents' influence, she then went on right ahead to call me the K word when a fight broke out. This time around, she's a teenage girl. And whatever it is that is the ideology is so solidified in her that she won't talk to me when I talk to her. And then when I continue to still call her name, she then finally, out of irritation, looks back and says, I don't talk to black people. Wow. What did that in Kim? Something that was planted in her that grew and became a strong tree with a stump with roots so deep in the ground that absent of that whole entire thing being uprooted, this woman will never live. She will never love Jesus. How in the world do you walk into any church in South Africa and try to call yourself a Christian when you've got that kind of heart? I don't know what Kim later became in life, but I had a boss at MTN that was obviously harboring racist sentiment, it was clear. But she was working with black colleagues and she just had to take it. That's what happens when Kim ends up in corporate South Africa. If she becomes a boss to a black girl, a black colleague, she's going to discriminate against that colleague. Act as if though she's underperforming. Act as if though she's not doing well. And that's what my white boss did to me. Because she was a Kim. This time around you're in corporate, unless you start your own business where it's just whites only, and so basically you're living in Orania, you are gonna have to work with black people. And when you foster that kind of ideology in some people that are working in corporate South Africa, you then create barriers to entry. You become the chock-a-block as Kim. You become the recruitment agent that deliberately ignores black candidates if you can. If a job says that all races can apply, you know how thanks to employment equity, sometimes they're looking for a black candidate or an Indian candidate, and so you can only interview Indians. But when it's open for all, and you're a recruitment agent that is just like Kim, you will then go out of your way, Sister Kim, to make sure that all the candidates you interview are white, all of them. Well, from what the Lord has shown me, that whole Kim phenomenon has contributed to the mutiny against the South African economy and the skills exodus, especially of black people out of the country, because of white recruitment agent ladies and gentlemen